I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank, tired.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon, also tired.
Very tired. That's all. That's as much as I got for.
I've not had enough sleep in the last 2 weeks to be clever. I'm barely clever when I'm rested.
Girl, I was up till 4 a.m. last night.
Oh man,
hanging with wrestlers. Doing what you can.
A little behind the curtain. I recorded a podcast with previous guests of the show, Dave Jackson, along with Jeff Moonen and Case Aiken. And Dave was. I was
Hooray
like,
for Jeff, boo for Case.
I was like, Dave,
you're bringing him up so soon.
So soon.
Enemy.
And so
Case.
Dave was like, we'll probably spend. We were doing the 3 versions of Metroid 2, which is coming out in a month or two. And I was like, we're doing 3 games with 3 of the most verbose people on the planet. You aware of what you signed up for, Dave? And he's like, we'll do like a half hour in every game. 3 hours later, we finished that podcast. It was like, well, I told you.
Hey, at least it wasn't like a Crash Course where it was all day.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's true.
I think I'm trauma bonded to Katy Perry's Prism
just because we sat around all day listening together, and then
I love her.
Love
Twitch,
Katy.
Twitch.
Well, we've rambled enough. I want to introduce our incredible guest. He is the best laugh in the podcast business.
You've already heard it.
You already heard it.
Yep.
It is the one and only Eli of Super Bracket Bros. Eli, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm regrettably not as tired as you guys. Hopefully I don't throw off the tired feng shui, but
don't worry, we're gonna make you feel exhausted.
Oh no,
we're exhausting people. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you. I, as of when we're recording, recently guested on Super Bracket Bros in the discussion, your Kaiju season, discussing the Power Rangers, specifically the Megazord and the Dragon Zord versus Godzilla. It was a lot of fun, also with Ben of Affable Chat, who's a future guest of this show. And so I immediately, I told you guys, I think at the end of that episode, I was going to have you on here at some point. And so I'm so glad to have you, Eli.
You requested all 3 of us,
I did,
you, and you. We're like, all right, cool.
I got to do it.
We gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. It's true.
Yeah, no, that was a great episode. It was fun talking about 2 of my favorite franchises with other equal, fans of the series, and that's kind of what the show is all about. I always tell people the fights are fun to talk about, but I just love talking to people about how did you like this? How'd you get into this series? How do you like this character? Those are always my favorite, the conversations. But I mean, it's always capped with some goofy fun, Matt, you described it perfectly. It's the podcast equivalent on the playground saying, no, Godzilla would totally win. Power Rangers have this, and so that's the energy you brought that we were like, yes.
And so we're going to talk in more detail about Super Bracket Bros and all that you do and how the show started at the tail end of the show. But as always, we are going to start by talking about the most recent things we have watched. And as always, I will continue to go first. And this time I am bringing something that I'd forgotten I watched because it's been that kind of 2 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a show I've brought on before, but it's in a more interesting and a unique format now. The show is The Grand Tour. If you're not familiar with The Grand Tour, it's an Amazon show starring the presenters who used to do Top Gear, the British Top Gear. And then they got fired. It's kind of a question mark. And so they went to Amazon and essentially made their own Top Gear. With hookers and beer, like Bender. And so...
Wait, are there really hookers
no,
and
there's
beer
no hookers and beer.
I wish.
But,
come on. Don't tease me so.
And so it started out as a seasonal show. There were I think 8 episodes a season or whatever. And then over the last few years, I think since the pandemic and on, the seasons got shorter and shorter. And now each season is usually 1 or 2 feature-length episodes. Almost like large documentaries. So the one I watched most recently that I'm going to talk about today is the second episode in season 5, the Grand Tour Eurocrash, and it's an hour and 46 minutes. So it's pretty much a whole movie. And for those who are not familiar, of course, the hosts are Jeremy Clarkson, oh my God, Richard Hammond and James May. I've been a fan of them since the old school Top Gear, just because they're clowns, like literally just goofballs. And like for me, it's like if I went on a road trip with two of my stupidest, most ridiculous best friends, this is what would happen. Like picking on each other, pulling pranks, having like relay races. And so the plot for Eurocrash is that they went on the road trip that nobody has ever thought of in cars nobody ever dreamed of. And so it's an epic 1,400-mile journey that takes them from Poland through Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, like just these areas that have not really been shown in this way. Gorgeous areas too. And so, and then they do like relays and stuff and test the cars, and the cars they all pick are of course ridiculous as they always are. And so it was really fun. I really love this show. And it's funny because I'm not really a car person. I like cars. I used to go to the car show at the Javits Center in New York every year for a long time.
Wow. I did not know that about you.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
And it wasn't that like I was a big car nerd. I kind of liked cars. Like I like Porsches.
Yeah.
The old Porsches. The new ones look dumb. They're mostly like SUV stupid shit. But like I like sports cars and stuff, but I'm not like a gearhead. I just kind of think they're cool or pretty or whatever. And so that kind of led me to Top Gear. But the show Top Gear talks about cars for like it's this middle ground between the gearheads and the novices. So like you can get excited about what they're talking about, but then they also race around a track really fast and like talk while shouting over the engine of the car they're driving. And so like that kind of stuff kind of just makes it more kind of ground level. And so this one was just as good as all the others. You know, I don't know that I have anything new to say about it other than I really like it. I think if you like people being goofball, let me put it this way. If you listen to this goddamn show and you like the nonsense that we do, you would probably enjoy this show because it's a lot of a similar kind of rapport that Rachel and I have, where it's like bits and like funny, and then there are moments of heart and like actually realness and like connecting, and then it's a lot of like picking on each other and kind of having a laugh. And so I think that if you're into that kind of thing and you also like documentary filmmaking, because they do cover these places and talk about the history and all sorts of other stuff, it's worth a watch.
You're really in a documentary phase right now,
I am.
friend.
Yeah.
It is happening. Like consistently you come in. I love that for you.
I think it's because I've been like the video essay stuff. Like, I mean, our good friend, one Patrick Willems, who I've watched for a while now, like on his recommendation and then his peers, I've kind of branched out. I've been watching a YouTube channel called People Make Games. They're like the games journalists in the YouTube space. They just released a 2-hour documentary that I haven't finished on the game Disco Elysium and the company that made it.
I love that game.
But
I am struggling with the company and the creators.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
And so like this news report, which I haven't finished watching, like he interviews the current CEO of the company that made the game, who is rumored to have stolen the company from the original creators. He interviews the original creators, who I haven't gotten to yet, who like claim that they were robbed, but other people say they were being harassed by those original creators. Like it's a mess. It was there was never a clear villain. It was just a garbage mess. And so like I'll probably bring it on once I finish it. But like those kinds of documentaries I find really fascinating. I like learning stuff. And like in school, I struggled to learn stuff because my focus, I probably have undiagnosed ADD. And so like when like presenters bring me in, and I like the people who make games, but like same thing with this, same thing with Patrick, which I've said to Patrick many a times. And like, you know, all those kinds of creators who make stuff, the extra credits guys, like, if you're an engaging personality that also kind of meets the viewer halfway and doesn't just like kind of talk over them, I tend to really like that. The Gaming Historian also does videos like that as well, where it's rich in history, but he's also not afraid to be a little goofy and get into the details. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I didn't like documentaries growing up, but I just didn't watch a lot of them. But I think YouTube has kind of, and now Nebula, which I watch more often than YouTube, has kind of programmed me to like documentaries, because a lot of video essayists, they do cover documentary style stuff, even if not all of their videos are, say, a documentary.
Yeah. I'm into that. I like that we're branching into that because I've watched a lot of video essays. I feel like a lot of my opinions when we first started this show were from video essayists, especially Lindsay Ellis.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
her opinions were my opinions for a long time. I was like, we have the same brain, so
Yeah.
that's super duper neat.
Yeah. I mean, I think also like those kinds of creators, like I don't watch Zero Punctuation anymore. I think I liked Yahtzee a lot for a long time, but I think his a lot of his views have been a little archaic. It's also like he thrives in piss and poop humor, right? That's his whole thing. But like when I did watch them, I almost never agreed with him, but I liked watching his process. And I think that's where I've come to with a lot of documentaries too, even if it's like video essays about stuff that I don't agree with or I'm not even interested in, I'll watch it anyway. Like Patrick did a video on Terrence Malick, right? Like I've never seen any of those movies, but I was still riveted by the video because Patrick is an engaging educator. And so like I think my brain is just engaged more than it was before. Also because like we do some semblance of research for stuff that we discuss, and like I also for my other shows do that kind of thing. And so I think also engaging in it from a production side has made me want to engage with it more from a viewing side.
I dig that. Well, Matt.
Yes.
Do you have any other final thoughts? We kind of diverted as we do into documentaries, but the documentary in particular, the Grand Tour. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, I think that's kind of it.
Cool. So Matt,
Yes.
if you had to sum up the Grand Tour, was there a colon in that?
Yes, Eurocrash.
Eurocrash. Thank you. If you had to sum up the Grand Tour, Eurocrash in just 3 words, and you could not use the Grand Tour or Eurocrash, how would you describe this piece of art?
Good car fun.
Good car fun. I like that.
I want to see that on a dealership.
Right?
As you're
Good
driving.
car fun. Come on down to Trusty Rick's
Good car fun.
Used Car Emporium. We got good car fun here.
Well, yeah, I was, not thinking about getting a car, but now I gotta.
I mean, if it's good car fun, how can I say no?
What can I do to get you into some good car fun today?
That's a different question. That's different connotation.
That kind of fun in a car is a different thing.
Yeah.
Just saying. Well, Rachel, it is
Yes.
now your turn. What is the
Oh.
most recent thing you have watched that you have brought to the show?
Well, I also had a similar moment today where I, when you pinged me about doing this, I went, "Uh-oh, I got a show tonight. Crap, I forgot." And I went, "I didn't watch anything." And luckily, my partner reminded me that yes, we did watch something, a really great something. I was given the honor and privilege to show to my partner Judith for the first time an incredible film from the 1990s called Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
such camp. Ooh, we love to see. So it all started because former guest and my dear friend of both of this podcast and real life, Mark, Robert Turner,
Yes.
and his husband, decided to start doing movie brunches.
Oh, nice.
So they like have a brunch at their house and they screen a film. And this first one they did was a screening of Drop Dead Gorgeous. And unfortunately, Judith and I had to leave in the middle of the movie. So I was like, can I borrow the DVD and watch it? So I finally this week was able to sit us down in our busy lives and go, we're watching all of this. And it rules.
Yeah.
It's such a good flick. Minus the use of the R slur very prolifically. Like if that is a deal breaker for you, do not watch this. But as someone who grew up in the Midwest, and I did one pageant in my whole life. I did the West Side Nut Club's
I'm sorry,
Fall
excuse me?
Queen. The West Side Nut Club. Yeah, it's like kind of like a Moose Lodge, but
Okay.
like
But for
called
nuts.
the West Side Nut Club. Yeah, it's like some dudes. They always do a street festival called the Fall Festival, and so you have the Fall Festival Queen, and like it's the 8th graders who get to do it. So when I was an 8th grader, I represented my school.
Mm-hmm.
It was very weird. But as somebody who went through that in just a minor way, and like the Midwest in the 90s, everybody said that word. It was awful. It was not a good time. It's not recommended, but it is really like a clear snapshot of that kind of culture. You know, this very like Jesus loving slur saying situation. You
Right.
know, I don't think that Will Sasso deserves any particular hate for the portrayal. Obviously, like it's problematic, but everything you love is problematic. But
That's also
overall, I
true,
think it
sure.
tells an incredible, interesting piece about the exploitation of women, all wrapped in this very silly mockumentary style murder mystery. You know, spoilers. People start dying very soon in this movie. The pageant contestants very quickly become murder victims. It's great, and you just get this lovely little bit of nostalgia for like a baby Kirsten Dunst. Amy Adams is there, a baby Brittany Snow, and my heart just like exploded with like joy and sorrow.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a really interesting tale, and coming back to it after all of these years, because I used to watch that movie a lot because I just really loved it. And coming back to it now, I'm like, oh, there was a lot more going on here than I noticed when I was younger. You know, like, again, talking about that, like, deep satire and discussion of small town living and how hard it is to get out, and how big corporations like the Sarah Rose pageant will exploit young women to like do whatever, and then it turns out they're evil. You know, it's really good. It's very smart, despite it being about like teen pageant queens. It's whip smart and so funny and deeply quotable. And I didn't realize how often I actually like quote that movie, because it's just become a part of my life where I'm like, oh, and me without a stitch of makeup on, just like constantly. She's not anorexic, she's just skinny.
Yeah, I haven't seen it probably since it came
it
out,
rules,
but I
yeah.
love it. I love that there are 90s comedies that really hold up pretty well. I was so relieved when I watched Wayne's World for Let's Rewatch a few years back, and I was like, I remember loving it, but I was like, you know, it's of that era, 2 white male leads. It could be questionable, and it wasn't. It really mostly held up with some language stuff that wasn't great. And so like I'm so glad that besides the rampant use of the R word, apparently, for the most part, the movie still holds up.
Yeah. And everybody's just really bringing their A game to their roles. Even the panelists who are judging the pageant that year, the creepy bald man who's just like, yes, bring in the girls. I mean, contestants, just like, genius. Everyone is on fire. And it's so good to see these like young actresses like show up and just like rock it. Like they're all making such strong choices. Like Amy Adams, like hypersexual, like cheerleader character, genius. Brittany Snow's like, she's in love with New York and wants to move there. She's got an older gay brother, crushing it. Kirsten Dunst is tap dancing morgue makeup artist, just chef's kiss, just everything that is being done there. And the effects are super cool. There's big if you want explosions, they got explosions.
Yeah.
Who knew? Pageants.
That
explosive.
wasn't at the West Nut Club.
No, the West Side
No
Nut Club did
explosions?
not have explosions. No, at least not yet. We'll see though. Who knows? Those guys.
Yeah, I mean, and also a lot of the women in this film were kind of like at the beginnings or the heights of their career. I mean, Denise Richards at this time was in everything in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so and Kristen Dunst was just starting her career spike. Like she hadn't done Spider-Man yet, but she had done a bunch of stuff. And like, it's really cool to watch that film and like look at this cast list, Kirstie Alley, whoever, like all of these folks who are like at the heights of or like in the throes of their career.
Yeah, I think this is, despite Kirstie Alley having been a really fucking weirdo by the end of her life, like this role is on her Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
She's so good as this like megalomaniacal former pageant queen winner, trying to do whatever she can to let her daughter win, and like and also like the class conflict between Denise Richards' character and Kirsten Dunst's character, because you've got this class divide where like Denise Richards is the rich family, like her father owns a furniture store, and then Kirsten Dunst is working multiple jobs to like help support her single mom who lives in a trailer park with her. You know, it's really interesting to watch them sort of deal with that intersection too, and see like working class folk like backing each other up, you know, even when you look at the characters and there's such broad strokes and you're just like, oh yeah, the dance teacher is just like smoking and they're going, time to close, time to close, time to close. But then like she shows some heart. Like everybody has these wonderful moments where they shine and they support, you know, I love it. I think it's a great flick. It's worth checking out at a brunch with your friends or at your house by yourself.
Amazing. Have you seen this film, Eli?
I have not. I've heard about it though, and it seems right up my alley. So
Yeah.
I think this might be the push I need to actually sit down and get to it.
Now, here comes the unfortunate news. It is not available streaming anywhere. I only was able to watch it via a DVD copy because we are not allowed nice things on streaming at the moment. We're going through it with streaming.
Yeah, streaming is. Oh, and by the way, support the WGA and everyone else.
WGA,
anyone else striking, like, get these people fair wages. Support these strikers.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Netflix. I don't know, whatever else.
I guess piracy is now preservation.
Yeah, at this point, it sure is. Sure is. Not that I personally would pirate something, but if you were to pirate it, there are many places where you could do that.
Yeah.
You know, just like I say when I'm playing a Super Nintendo game on stream, it's like I'm playing my special Super Nintendo. I would never emulate a game. That's illegal. I would never do that.
That's against the law.
It's against the law.
We can't do that. We don't. We'd never.
Never.
It's quite illegal.
As you're playing your special SNES to the Pirates of the Caribbean music playing in the background.
Right, exactly. Well, Rachel, if you had to sum up Drop Dead Gorgeous in just 3 words, and you couldn't use those 3 exact words, drop dead or gorgeous, what 3 words would you use to describe this film?
Just call it a film.
I did.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Well, we say program, and
program.
So I needed a
It's
film.
Film.
Patrick H.
program.
Film.
Patrick H. Film. Yeah.
There you go. I think that's his wrestler persona.
Oh man, that would be great. He's got like a little like like this film attire with like a director,
really
like
cute
corn and stuff. Yeah, okay, I'm into it. We've created his wrestle persona.
Oh, don't tell him. Okay.
You got this.
Murder Midwest mockumentary.
There you go.
That's
Sentence,
a great
alliteration.
tagline. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Impressive. It's like you're a pro and you've done this before.
Maybe only sometimes.
Only sometimes. It is now our incredible guest's turn.
Yeah.
Eli, what is the most recent thing you have watched that you have brought to the show?
Yeah, so it's been a little bit since I went to the movie theater, and when you messaged me, that was kind of the inspiration of like, let's go see a movie, like in a theater setting. And so I went to, this is my favorite director, this is his newest film, and it's Asteroid City.
Yeah.
The newest Wes Anderson film. So
I haven't seen it yet. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Tell
I
us
wanna
about
see
it.
It is pretty great. So for those who don't know, Asteroid City is the newest Wes Anderson movie. If you don't know Wes Anderson, he's the guy that everybody on TikTok is parodying his quirky movie style nowadays. And how to describe Asteroid City? So the plot is it takes place in the American Southwest, and it's basically this congregation of really smart children and their parents are coming to this like camp to show off sort of their inventions and to witness an eclipse, the special solar eclipse that happens like every few decades or so. And if you watch the trailer, it's not a spoiler to say because the trailer kind of shows this. An alien shows up, and sort of the characters have to deal with the fallout of that. And if I'm describing a movie you think has like a normal plot, it doesn't.
No, of course not.
It's Wes Anderson. This movie really reminded me. Have you guys seen the Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yes. Yes, I really dug.
I think
dug that
so.
film.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Grand,
Yes.
yeah, with all the pink and stuff. If you remember from the Grand Budapest Hotel, it's sort of this frame narrative where the story is told through character. They read a book called The Grand Budapest Hotel, and you sort of watch the story unfold as this character is reading a book. Asteroid City is the same way, where the movie you're watching, and this isn't a spoiler, it's literally the first thing that comes up, is that the movie you're watching is actually a play that's going on. So all the characters, like, you know, it's a Wes Anderson movie, so it's literally like half of Hollywood is in it. You have Jason Schwartzman,
Right.
You have Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, Liv Schreiber. That's just a few of everyone. But they're all technically playing two characters, the characters in Asteroid City, but also the actors playing them. So as I'm describing this is maybe the most meta movie Wes Anderson has ever made, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
It is so trippy but in that like quirky kind of way that Wes Anderson is known for. At times it was a bit too meta for me. Like I was like, I am losing the plot right now. I don't know what's going on. But man, when the movie breaks out the jokes, I was just rolling. It was just so funny. In so just like that special deadpan kind of way, but he comes across that Wes Anderson, he just is able to tell jokes that just come out of nowhere and hit you. So good. There's one joke with Bryan Cranston plays the narrator, and oh my god,
Nice.
I was just it was amazing. His big joke. But yeah, no, I hate, like, it's weird to call Wes Anderson movie polarizing, because his movies aren't really controversial, nor is
Yeah.
he himself a controversial figure, but a lot of people are either all for his style or really think it's insufferable. So there's this weird, like, you know, it's kind of this talking point. I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 76%, because, you know, some people are like, yeah, this is like 10 out of 10, amazing, Wes Anderson's great, and the other half are just like, oh my god, stop the shtick, we get it. You know. So it's like, if you're a fan of Wes Anderson, I think you'll love this. If you haven't jived with his style before, I don't think this will win you over. But you know, he's my favorite director, so I am all for it. I will say, of all the movies I've seen of his, this is probably towards like the middle back half, but that's still like really good because I loved all of his movies. So it's a big recommend for me. If you like thinking about your movies after seeing it, it's a must watch, because I still don't know what happened. Like I'm trying to process everything, and it's just like, oh man, like I don't know what just happened, but I like thinking about it. So yeah, Asteroid City, if you get a chance to see it in theaters, see it with a crowd. I saw it with like there was only like 5 or 6 people in the theater, and they weren't laughing as loud as me. So I was like, I was putting my like hands over my mouth, just like rolling in my seat, trying not to like disturb the peace. But yeah, if you can see it with a crowd, I'm sure it'll be a very fun experience.
Awesome. I love Wes Anderson. I haven't seen nearly enough of his movies, but of course The Life Aquatic and
Yeah.
The Royal Tenenbaums. Royal Tenenbaums is one of those movies that every time I watch it, I notice a new detail, something I missed every single time. And I've always liked Gene Hackman, but like that's the role that defined him for me. It was of course Lex Luthor before that, because I love those films, but like that movie, it's just, and like it was a Fantastic Mr. Fox, was also Wes Anderson,
Oh
right?
gosh, yeah.
Such a
Fantastic
great
Mr.
film.
Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is my favorite movie of all time. So yeah,
it's a good one.
It's by far and away my favorite. So yeah, I've been following Wes Anderson. I've seen all of his movies in theaters since The Grand Budapest Hotel, just because I recognize there's lots of like Wes Anderson stans who are like, you know, oh no, he made that mistake on purpose. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, let's not.
Calm down now.
Yeah, a lot of like some people I've talked to, they think he's like above criticism. I don't think that's really valid.
No.
But
Yeah.
what I love about him is he is the #1 escapist filmmaker for me. All of his movies take you into this fun, quirky little world that is, you know, really not anything like our own. Like this Asteroid City takes place in like the 50s, post-world, you know, early Cold War, nuclear, you know, scare America, but it's not, you know, real America. It's this like miniature version of Wes Anderson-y, you know, version of America that he just likes to play around with all these different ideas and characters with. So Yeah, for me, it's just like it's just I just love going because every time you see a movie, it's like going in his brain, and he just has such an interesting view on things and his opinions. And like watching Asteroid City, because it is sort of this meta narrative, you kind of wonder like how much is he like taking into account all the like memes, the Wes Anderson, you better not, do this in a Wes Anderson style. I think he's aware of that because some of the characters are kind of talking about the relationship between the story and the storytellers, people, interpreting stories and everything. So, I think a lot of people, I've read a lot of people say Asteroid City isn't their favorite Wes Anderson movie, but they think it's his most personal. And for that, I really like it. And yeah, if you're a Wes Anderson fan, this is, it's easy recommend. You're going to love it. If you've been on the fence, maybe try it out because it is really funny, like genuinely.
Yeah, I mean, I've missed the last few. Like, I never saw Island of the Dogs. I never saw what was the one? There was a one after that I missed.
French Dispatch.
But like, I've always liked his work, and so I'm interested to see it. But like, I agree, and I think this is something that Rachel and I have talked about a lot. Like, I love popcorn films. I'm still a Marvel fan, trucking along. Guardians of the Galaxy renewed me, but like, a lot of filmmakers in the blockbuster space are just making, especially like we've talked about with Marvel films, kind of cookie cutter and like not really a vision. And it's why stuff like Multiverse of Madness stands out to me because that felt like a Sam Raimi film. And it reminded me, made me go back and watch old Sam Raimi stuff like Evil Dead. And like, oh yeah, when directors have a vision and a world that is familiar, you can get lost in it in a way that doesn't require the characters even. It could be any characters. But like Wes Anderson has always been this director that once I start this film, I'm in his world. Like, I'm not thinking about my reality. I'm not thinking about the run of movies or where the franchise goes. I'm just in this world for a moment, enjoying this like place, and so it's exciting to hear that Asteroid City is another one of those. I'm definitely going to see it. I've been really excited about it. I love the trailers and like
the Instagram ad that I keep getting where they're singing how did he it's in my head.
That scene it's amazing. It is absolutely some of the like Asteroid City has some of the best Wes Anderson moments I think I've ever seen, and it's just him. I mean, he's like a master of his craft, and he's still riding along. Like even though like I said I didn't love Asteroid City like his other movies, I still love that it is how it is. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like sure. I'm happy he's not pandering to like what I want. He's doing his own thing, and I like that a lot more than whatever. I would like Wes Anderson to do something like that I love, but honestly, I'd rather him just do him. So that's kind of when I left Asteroid City. I was like, you know what? I love that this was his movie and he made it his own. So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, also, I think creative vision, I think I'm more forgiving of things I don't like if I have stuff to discuss, right? Like, I think perfect movies are less fun to engage with, but flawed films are more fun to discuss. And like, this is going to sound like a joke, but the reason I've liked a lot of the recent video game movies is because even though they are like Sonic and Mario, even though they are very much kids films, I like that they're flawed because there's stuff to chew on. And it makes them more interesting to me. If it were just a perfect recreation of the Super Mario Brothers lore or the Sonic lore or whatever else, like we've gotten with a lot of the comic book movies, eventually there's not much to talk about. But like the reason I loved Guardians or Across the Spider-Verse is because those films aren't completely perfect. They have their moments that don't always jive with me. But overall, I love the story and there's stuff to dig in on, right? Yeah, although Across the Spider-Verse might be a perfect film. I'm not sure. I got to wait till the second half comes out, but that one might be a perfect film.
It's the perfect first half of a film.
Right, exactly.
Well, I want to bounce off what you said. Like, with perfect, for me, my least favorite movies are the ones that are just technically nothing's wrong with it. Like, I hate that. Like, there's like, I would much rather watch a train wreck or something that is just, insanely made versus this was a movie, they did everything right. It's just so I'd like stuff that's weird, and like you said, there's just like mistakes to chew on and stuff,
right? I mean, like franchises like the Fast and the Furious films don't become popular because they're perfect. They become popular because they're weird and make mistakes and get messy, and like I like that kind of stuff more, especially lately, because franchise fatigue, right? Like good stuff is still going to rise to the top, but I'm much more interested now in unique or original stuff. up and coming filmmakers. Like a lot of that stuff has just become a lot more fascinating to me because I think there's more to chew on. Eli, if you had to sum up Asteroid City and you could not use those two words, asteroid or city, what 3 words would you use to describe this film?
Meta, quirky, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum is one word.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to say it really fast for it to
Right,
be one word.
right, exactly. You have to make it one word. Okay, got it. Perfect.
I'm pretty
No
sure
notes.
Jeff Goldblum's in the movie. I wasn't sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Super Bracket Bros, or as I like to call it, the playing with your action figures and making them fight podcast, which is exactly what it was, and it was great.
That was a working title, actually.
Right? Oh, great! I figured it out. But I would love to know like the origins, like how do you and Jay know each other, and then like how did the podcast come to be?
So Jay and I have known each other since middle school. We are longtime friends. We have been in the same homeroom, and then we were roommates in our first year. We were in the same homeroom, middle school, high school, and shared a dorm freshman year of college. So we've known each other for a while. But yeah, so you know, I apologize in advance as you're asking me Super Bracket Bros questions. You're kind of asking. I'm just relaying what Jay says because this is Jay's project. I'm very much. I'm there because he can't talk to a wall. but no, he does all the editing, he does all the planning, he does all the recording and editing again.
He's the Matt with the exception of the editing.
Yeah, basically. So as I'm talking, I'll talk about sort of what he envisioned it was. Jay's always been a huge fan of brackets. You know, the NCAA basketball tournament. That's his biggest. That's his Christmas every year. And so we had this idea of creating our own Super Smash Bros. That's where the title of the podcast comes from. We just wanted to take all our favorite characters and put them in a bracket, and he wanted to see who was the best of the best. And so we kind of had these one-off, we got a group of friends together, and we came up with 128 preceded bracket. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was wild too because it was a group of 5 of us, but we were not respecting the rules at all. People were making, hey, I'll vote for your character off if you vote for mine, forming alliances. Yeah, and Jay was just oh, you better stop it. Stop it. I need objectivity. But it was just this fun idea. And then in 2019, Jay and I, we worked at the same place, and it was sort of this kind of mindless sort of job that you could set at your computer and listen to podcasts. And that's how Jay and I got into podcasting. We finally got into it. And for whatever reason, it just really just enchanted Jay. He really wanted to get into podcasting around that time. And so he was like, hey, I thought those bracket, nights were fun. Why not let's do it as a podcast? And I was like, yeah, sure. If you do all the work and I just show up and laugh. So, so we worked on some pilot episodes, just to feel it out, see how it goes. And yeah, we just kind of hit the ground running and started doing it, in late 2019, and then during the pandemic, it was sort of a way for us to get together because we were recording. We took safety precautions, but we were recording in the same space, and that was a way for us to still have some interactions and stuff. So yeah, it just came out just this nerdy fun love of just talking about fictional characters fighting, and Jay wanted to take this new passion and implement in it. So. Yeah, I'm very much along on Jay's crazy ride. So it's been very fun. We've been doing it now, since 2019, 5 seasons. So
wow, that's amazing. And so your 5th season just started. I guessed it on it.
Hey.
I think you're 4 episodes in now. And so you're doing kaiju this season, which is a big deal. Talk a little bit about the process of how you get to the top seeded spots, who ends up being a part of the bracket, and then talk a little bit about why kaiju, besides the fact that kaiju rule, but why kaiju for this season?
So in the early seasons, season 1 and 2, we kind of just did a hodgepodge of characters we liked. There was no power scaling, so it was pretty not very consistent or power scaling wise. It was pretty wacky. And then at season 3, we started doing themes. So I think theme was more of a low-powered, fighter characters, melee fighters. Then season 4, we did lower power characters, but who use like firearms and things like that. So, Punisher, John Wick, characters like that. And so we were sort of doing these like, lower power tournaments, and Jay was like, can we just do something like crazy? And so he was originally, this season was going to be a god level tournament. So it was just going to be giant monsters, but also, like a Thanos character or like Kratos from God of War. And I was kind of imploring Jay, like, I think the giant monsters is its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be fun having these like smaller characters with, kaiju power. I think a kaiju tournament would work. And he was like, I don't know if there's enough kaiju for that. And I was like, oh, Jay, oh, you have no idea, man.
Jay.
So that was, yeah. So in the selection process, because I grew up with kaiju, we talked about this in the episode, but I grew up with the giant monsters, the people in suits fighting in cardboard cities, where Jay is sort of new to it all. So it was kind of this like, I was just throwing everything like Godzilla, Power Rangers, Ultraman, like all the things from my youth. And then we started like branching off, asking our friends like, hey, do you have any suggestions and stuff? And what's been really nice with season 5, previous seasons, there were 32 characters. This season, there's just 16. So we were able to be more selective rather than, if this season we would have picked like our 6th Godzilla character or something, baby Godzilla would have made it in or something. So with this season, yeah, it was a lot of us picking what we liked, but also venturing out, because it might not have been Dave Jackson who suggested, but we included Sin from Final Fantasy X, and we never would have thought of that if we didn't reach out to. It might have been Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers podcast, but yeah, that was a collaborative effort. So. Yeah, there's that, and the actual act of like picking who's the strongest actually comes to our audience. So before every season, we do what we call the AP poll, where we send the list to people, and they actually seed how strong they think the characters are, which is the only explanation why the Megazord got the lowest seeded. Because if it was my choice, he would have been up on there in the top. But no, selecting characters, when we started, it was just Jay and me just trying to figure it out. But now it's become this wholly more holistic, ad hoc collaborative effort with people, which has been super fun and really good for the podcast.
I love that. I mean, the process was so much fun, and like the final product is fun. Like, for the listeners who may not have listened to the episode yet, I'm going to spoil the location, which was chosen randomly, but it was Hyrule from Breath of the Wild, which is also Hyrule from Tears of the Kingdom, because it's the same Hyrule. Yes. And like, and Jay, the master editor, like I always listen to the shows I'm on, usually at 2x speed, just to get a sense of the episode. And like, if I want to share it and remember some stuff to talk about, like I want to be familiar. And like, as he's about to announce the location, so when we recorded, he had me, Ben, Eli, and himself all do our best like Link impressions, like, yeah, hot. And then on top of that, also layered on actual Link cries and like a cry out when he falls before, like as the lead up to the announcement of the location, and I lost it. I was dying. And so like that kind of stuff that you guys, those gags that you put in episodes and stuff, I really love. I think what's great about the show is that there's this, like, it's a competition show at its core, right? But like you said at the top of the show, you're more excited to just discuss the nerdy topics. And like, there is clearly a love, and the inexperience doesn't breed like any kind of contempt. Like, even when Jay is not familiar, like he wasn't super familiar with the Power Rangers, you introduced him to a bunch of stuff, and he still asked a lot of questions of the rest of us to pool the information that we then went off of for the matchup. It's not like, well, we have to bring in an expert and then like, here's all the actual facts. It's like, you do research, but you also want to like gather the information from the people who love the thing and bring a little bit of passion into it. And I think that really makes the show a lot stronger.
Yeah, we sort of pivoted in that direction, because when it was just beginning, it was two white dudes in a room talking to each other about nerdy stuff, and we were like, this can't be, like, we got to make this more than just goofing around. We got to make something that will, like, people will listen to. And so that's when we started introducing. When we introduce characters, we do more history. Jay had the idea of bringing in guests as experts to talk about their experiences. So the show evolved. I still recommend listening to early episodes just because it's still kind of funny listening to us. but as the show progressed, we evolved past just the two dudes in a room talking to each other for sort of podcast format, and actually made it about the people who like this stuff. One thing we were worried about was like, you know, the competitive fictional character sphere on the internet. Can be pretty toxic at times, and we really wanted to just make a very fun place to have these fun discussions. We didn't want to take ourselves seriously. We just wanted to talk about things we liked and have a few goofs on the way. I'm so happy that Jay included the link screeches. It's just amazing. And again, I'm being so bashful about this, but all credit to Jay. I'm just the co-host. He does all the work, and I just super appreciate everything he does. So.
I mean, co-hosts are important too.
Hey, yeah.
I know my value. I know, like, I have the best laugh on the internet. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
You truly do.
you truly do.
But no, it's like I said, even though the evolution, and we're still sort of like figuring things out because Jay has so many ideas for future seasons. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Rachel and I avoided being two dudes on the internet talking about stuff because we both came out as non-binary. That's that problem.
I'll talk to Jay about it, maybe.
just totally the only reason why. It's not actually due to like who we are as people, and that gender is an illusion. It's not that. I'm curious, Eli. Without Jay here, so there's no influence. You don't have to answer to anyone. If you could pick any character to put into Super Bracket Bros, like your premium choice character to have battle, who is that character? Has that character been in already, or have you not? But there's someone in the back of your mind. You're like, I want this character to compete at some point.
Wallace and Gromit.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
No, you gotta do like Rankin Bass, like that the claymation, stop motion, Jack Skellington, do a whole like thing.
Listen, I think you have Wallace in those trousers from which is it, the clean shave?
No, but I know which one. The robot trousers that he puts on that he can't get off. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's automatically at least a 4 tier with that. He's just like, those things are indestructible. And then you have Gromit as an assist, like helping him out. Low key, like if he brings like his inventions, like he can shoot like buttered toast at people with this. Yeah. Like, I just think having this wacky, like, just, you know, ingenious, you know, genius like inventor with all these wacky machines. He's a mix-up character. No one's gonna expect him.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the perfect matchup: Wallace and Gromit versus Stewie and Brian.
Oh my god!
Match of the century.
Oh no!
Come on.
Two boys and their dogs.
Right. Right.
I think what I think is perfect.
Boys and my dog. My cat is yelling at me.
I don't know if I'd want to bring a cat into a fight, though. I feel like it would just sit there and stare as I
judge you deeply.
Yeah, if you bring Gromit in a fight, he's gonna do work. Wallace will be completely oblivious. That's the other fun thing, is like Wallace won't have any idea what's going on. Gromit. No, that's my dream matchup. But
I love that. That's so good.
I hope they fight and they succeed and they see the victory.
Oh, I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen.
Fight for it. You gotta fight for it. So you mentioned that you have ideas for future seasons. Have you planned like season 6, 7, and 8, or are you kind of waiting until you get to those seasons to kind of lock them in?
So Jay is he's definitely going buck wild next season. So I'm pretty sure I can talk about this, but so the idea is we're basically turning the show into a actual play podcast.
Amazing.
So what's happening, there's a system, a tabletop system called GURPS, GURPS, and that stands for Generic Universal Role-Playing System. And the idea is that you can assign stats to basically anything. Like you could make a role-playing game out of like, you know, a swords and sorcery, Dungeons and Dragons style adventure, or like a Regency era, you know, romantic comedy.
Amazing.
Like this system can be applied to anything. So what Jay wants to do is any character he assigns stats to, he brings guests in to play as those characters. And so this is basically quite literally Super Smash Bros. But in podcast form.
I love that. That's such a brilliant idea.
It is, and we've been playtesting it. It's been working really well. So next season is going to be in that style. So
that's awesome.
So
I mean,
cool.
And you guys kind of pretty much already set that up, because when we get to the battlefield, like it's a discussion, but we got, like, at least in my episode, like, me and Ben got in depth, like we mentioned moves and certain tactics and like what characters might be thinking. And so there was already a sense of role play to the battle side of the episodes. So that's such a brilliant idea to kind of evolve it and give it kind of a framework. So maybe the less experienced podcaster or guest has something to latch onto in the discussion as well. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's just it just feels like, because Jay and I got into podcasting through actual play, tabletop podcasting, like the Adventure Zone. I'm listening to Not Another D&D podcast right now, and sort of just that. That's not what we got into podcasting for. So this feels like the next evolution for it. And so we're bringing in our people. Jay, he's the wizard. He's coming up with all the character sheets and stuff. So yeah, it's very much like, it's a radical departure because we're bringing this whole new system. So, we'll see what happens. But I mean, I feel like once Jay gets his teeth into this, it's going to hard not to, keep doing it. But I mean, we'll see. That's the plan at least.
I mean, that's the magic of it, though. Like, you've had so many successful seasons that if that doesn't work or you want to go back to doing it this way, like, you have something to fall back on. So why not try? Why not experiment, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what, Jay's always experimenting and wanting to try new things because, that's more fun that way. Like, totally. If we didn't try new things, we'd still be doing what we did in season 1. And that, while it was fun at the time, what we have now is just so much better. So,
Yeah.
I'm curious what some of your other interests are outside of making creatures fight. But you clearly love movies. I listened to you on Affable Chat talking about Jurassic Park. And clearly, you're a film fan. Do you like read books, play video games, like music? Like, what are some of the other things that you're kind of really into that don't fit into a neat bracket?
Oh, okay. So, I'm trying to be. So I'm a writer. I'm trying to be a professional writer. So I've been writing children's books for the past few months. So picture books, early chapter books, things like that. I have a degree in creative writing, and for the past few years, I've been trying to figure out what I wanted to do, like what kind of stories I wanted to write. And so in college, it's all like adult books. And at some point, I was just like, I cannot write about like adultery, about all this like pouring adult shit. I just so it was this funny process of I was working backwards where I was like writing for adults, then I was writing for like YA, young adult, and then I was going back to chapter books. And I remember I was just trying to figure out like, oh man, I don't know what I want to write. Do I even want to be a writer? And I went to the Barnes and Noble. There's a huge like kids annex in the one on the west side of Madison. And I was like, I never went over there. So I walked in and I was like, wait, adults wrote all these books. Like, why can't I do that? These are all the books I like reading. So yeah, that's basically taking up most of my time, is trying to break into that sphere, talking to agents, trying to become, the children's book writer. So that's sort of my dream.
Awesome. Yeah. And I see on your website, you've got like a ton of illustrations and stuff. Do you do the illustrations as well?
I want to, yeah. It's just
that's awesome.
Because I have the degree in writing. I'm much more confident in that. Where the drawing is very much just, I have no formal training at all. So I'll make illustrations. I'll be like, hey, I can do this. But if they're
but if you look at something like Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, it's very rudimentary.
Oh yeah,
illustrations there, and such an affecting book for children.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no, they love yelling at the pigeon to not drive the bus. Like
don't do it.
That's what's more important. Like if you've got the good hook, the illustrations can sort of like chill and take a back seat.
And that was another reason why I wanted to write for kids, is that it's more fun. Like you could just write a pigeon not riding a bus. Like you can't write like a 400-page novel for adults with that.
No, it doesn't kind of work.
No.
My favorite, pretty much, when I thought I saw a Tumblr post on the internet that was just like, stop making fun of adults for reading children's books. Adult books are filled with like misery and trauma. Children's books, they get to hang out in a magic treehouse. And I was like, yeah, that's the energy.
Sounds about right. I mean, also though, I feel like as an adult, like some of my favorite children's books are still worth rereading and like still fill me with a sense of wonder. I mean, I reread The Hungry Caterpillar to a young niece years ago. She's now too old for me to read to her. She's 7 going on 17. It's obnoxious, really. But like I read that story and I got emotional because I remember that story being read to me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's a magic to children's books. So that's really cool that you're doing that as well. So now, like, a future bracket of Super Bracket Bros has to be like the Hungry Caterpillar versus like.
Oh, see, I was gonna ask what's the best children's book? What's the one that's gonna like win?
Okay, my favorite picture book I've probably ever read, and I actually only read this when I was getting into the field of study. I was reading books for like reference and everything, but genuinely my favorite picture book is Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type.
I've not seen that one. That's awesome.
It's about cows that get a typewriter, and they basically type letters to their farmer demanding like better wages.
That's amazing.
Yeah, better wages. Let's go.
Yes.
It's just the funniest thing because it's like, oh, cows, because they have a typewriter, they figured out like perfect grammar and how to type the messages. And then it literally evolves like they want warm blankets and the farmer's like, no. And the cows are like, fine, no milk. And you basically have a labor dispute. and the goose is going back and forth because he's a neutral third party. And it's just, it's not even, I don't even think it's barely 30 pages, but I was dying reading it. And I was like, this is what I want. Like, I like the idea of just like we talked about this in creative writing in college. Is like, what are you writing for? Do you want to make people like, excited? Do you want to make them cry? You've heard me laugh. I like making people laugh. It's kind of like what I want to do. And children's book offered a space for that to just, I don't know, just write something fun.
That's amazing. I love that. That's awesome. Well, good luck with all of that. Thank you for being so generous with your time today and joining us.
Oh, no problem.
This was a delight. I can't wait to come back on Super Bracket Bros. You should have Rachel on Super Bracket Bros. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm a kind of a professional wrestler person, so I love fighting.
Sure are. Yeah,
fighting.
Yeah, fighting.
Fake fighting is my favorite fighting.
We're basically, I listened to the previous episode with Slide talk about fan fiction, and really, if you think about it, our show is just
fan fiction.
Elaborate fan fiction.
It's fan fiction wrestling.
Like, yeah, exactly. True. Yeah, we had the Godzilla suplex the Megazord. What more could you want?
That's everything I love.
Go ahead, Rachel.
I was going to say, I can suplex people. It's pretty great.
It's true. You just learned.
I suplexed my coach.
I saw the evidence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
He let me. It was great.
Do you have a wrestler name?
I become possessed by a burlesque spirit by the name of Charles Stunning.
Stunning?
Yeah, Charles Stunning. So very much like inspired by Steve Austin, because like he does the Stone Cold Stunner and Charles is going to do the Red Hot Stunner, playing. Also, Steve Austin went by Stunning during his WCW reign,
Stunning
so that's
Steve
really
Austin,
funny.
Yeah.
Had no idea because I didn't know anything about wrestling. So yeah, that's
amazing.
That's a gimmick that I cultivate.
It also helps that you spent many years actually doing burlesque performance.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's
helps.
very fully fleshed, I guess.
Well, it's funny.
A lot of pics of my butt. That's what that wrestler's up to right now. Just like taking pictures of the wrestler's rump.
The wrestler's rump.
I love that. That's great. Well, we're gonna before we wrap up the show, before we ask you our final question, Eli, why don't you tell folks where they can find you online if you wish to be found, and for sure where they can find your children's writing and the podcast.
Yeah, so I am one half of Super Bracket Bros. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. On Instagram, so we release episodes every Sunday, except for these next two, which are going to be released Monday. But if you follow us on Instagram during the day of releases of the episodes, you can vote for who you think is going to win, so you can have your voice heard in the after discussion, if you feel so enlightened. Me personally, I have a website, eliahstokes.com, if you want to follow me. I post a lot of my writing there, so if you want to follow me personally, I'm also on Instagram at Eliah Stokes. So yeah, that's where you can find us. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you. It's a delight. I look forward to encountering your children's books.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Thank you.
It's
I
going to
appreciate it.
happen. I believe in you.
We're putting it into the universe.
Yeah.
All right, Rachel, before we ask our guest our final question, why don't we thank some people?
Yes. First and foremost, thank you to so much. Wow, I'm falling apart. It begins. Thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bug who designed our current show art and is currently working on brand new show
Cooking
art.
up new
Yay.
stuff. It looks so good. I love
really
it
good.
so much. Again, just made us so hot. How did it
So
happen?
hot.
Just so
How is it
hot.
possible?
Like, could
yes.
we get any hotter? Yes.
It's
In
in
the
process,
illustration,
but
yeah.
hopefully before the end of the
Beautiful.
summer, we'll have a new logo, new artwork, new lettering assets, the whole 9 yards. So we can't
Yeah.
wait to share that
It's
with
really-
y'all.
Really cooking.
I guess we
Really
should thank
grateful. Yeah.
the podcast network, right? You know. Thank-
Yes, we should thank the podcast network. Did we?
Would you-
Are we not
You-
thanking
me-
Case?
no,
Because thank goodness, because I'm done. I'm
No,
done
yeah, we
thanking
should-
Case.
we should
yeah,
thank-
no, you're
we
right.
should
You're
thank-
right. I don't know why I brought it back. I don't want to
Thank-
thank him. No thanks, Case.
Thank-
Get out.
Thank you, Case, for designing the individual episode show art featuring our guests. We really
No,
love it. Well,
never.
I love.
No, wrong. Wrong.
We're really,
but
Rachel-
I do.
We're really at the end here. I could just see them like teetering off. Tiredness is caught up.
Sometimes the most important part of the show is this
the
part.
bits.
The bits at the end. Everything for the bit. And I would like to thank the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for continuing to allow us to be a member of the family. You can find all the other incredible shows over at certainpov.com. You can also find permanent links to our Discord server where you can yell at us if you want about
It's true. You can.
how much I dislike Case and how his presence is an affront to my very being.
Very being.
Frankly.
You can also rate and review us on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple and Spotify.
Yes.
All of those links are also in the show notes now. So a link to Apple, a link to Spotify, and a link to the Discord server. And then you can reach us at _snark on Twitter, and then we are also reachable via email at screensnarkpod@gmail.com.
Yes.
You can no longer find me on Twitter because the cis hetero nightmare that is Elon Musk personally suspended my account for sending cute cat pictures to TERFs, which, I mean, I was calling out TERFs and threatening their lives, but with a cute cat picture. So, like, is it really threat of violence? Is it really? And then got an email when I tried to, fight back against it that just said your account is suspended forever. That was totally written by a human and not a robot. So,
Definitely
going
operating
great.
with a lot of nuance over at the Bird app. But you know what?
Yeah.
If you don't want to use the Bird app, you could just yell at a bird.
That's true.
A
That is
review.
another way to reach us.
Are there links to yelling at the bird in the show notes?
There
'Cause we
aren't. You have to
should
figure it
one.
out
Yeah.
on your own.
You have to find your own bird.
You have to find your
It's
own
very
bird.
organic.
You're gonna start bird watching. You're gonna be Bert shouting.
Exactly.
Hey, Screen Snark.
All right. Well, Rachel, before we close
Yes.
out the show, why don't you now ask our guest the final question?
I shall. Eli, I would love to know. The internet is waiting with bated breath for this answer. As a writer, I'm also incredibly intrigued. If you could choose one trope to instantly and magically become true in your life, a trope as featured in films and television, of course. We can't just like grab any trope from anywhere. Which trope would you choose?
Oh God, I heard this on the previous episode. I was prepared
No
and I
one's
forgot.
ever ready. No,
one's
one's
ever
ever
ready.
ready.
There's
It's
so
my-
many tropes. Oh God. I would be lying if I wouldn't. I wouldn't be opposed to an owl flying in and said I got an invitation to a magic school. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yes.
It's true.
If it wasn't written by who, but
Yeah.
Right. A good magic school that allows trans people to attend and
Yeah.
queer people to attend.
It's called The School in the Owl House, and they dunk on Harry Potter like all of the time.
Hell
It
yeah.
rules. It rips. You gotta watch the Owl House. Everybody,
Yeah,
get
it's
on
my
that
list.
shit.
It's on my list.
it's so good. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, Eli, thank you again for joining
Eli.
us. This was wonderful. You are a delight, and we are so happy to have you. Also, thank you to the smart, stunning, brilliant, and pink-haired co-host of mine that is Rachel Quirky Shank.
Oh, thank you. And I simply must thank my Murder Midwest mockumentary co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Not the worst title I've had. I've been called worse. And we, of course, want to thank you, our incredible listeners. We would not have this show without you. We adore you, and we will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Have you ever sat on a long commute or a dull day in the office and let your mind wander back to the days of rectangle pizza, bowls and bowls of sugar cereal, and gushing over your favorite cartoons and movies in school, and worry that those favorites from childhood won't hold up today? Well, the Saturday Morning Confidential podcast answers those questions for you. Host Maddie Limerick sits down with artists and creators of today to pull back the veil of nostalgia to talk about what's great and what we would change in hindsight years later. So pull on your comfiest PJs, pour yourself a bowl of your favorite cereal, and take a deep dive into the files of Saturday Morning Confidential. Releasing bi-weekly on Saturdays, available on your favorite podcast platforms and at certainpov.com.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.